Hello, everyone. Welcome to my second stream. Oh my god, I'm back. I'm actually back. I came back. It was not just a one-time wonder. We're back. We're here for what will be the sprint race for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. How are we all doing? We all feeling good today? I gotta say, it is good to see some people back. Streaky Bacon, good to see you again, my friend. I am so glad you're back. And I hope that the sprint race is as exciting as qualifying was, both yesterday and today. Because I wasn't live for the sprint shootout, or whatever they wanted to call it. I wasn't live for that, unfortunately. Sadly, I woke up a little bit too late, and then after that happened, my girlfriend was like, we need to do something. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, gotta go, look after her, gotta do what she wants to do. Had to do the food shop, had to do this, and I actually missed half of sprint qualifying, but I caught up on what happened in the first round of it. Saw the incident with Logan Sargent as well. That's interesting. I've seen that he's actually pulled out of today's sprint race as well. So Logan Sargent, for those who don't know, will not be taking part in today's sprint race, which I think is quite interesting. There's a few things that I didn't particularly like with the sprint race. With the sprint shootout. Got to be honest, I was not a fan of the fact that the drivers had to do Q3 on a fresh set of tyres, which meant that really the likes of Lando Norris couldn't do anything. Like, that's it. His session is run. Lando Norris couldn't go out, couldn't really put any, laps on the board in Q3, and the reason for that was because he had no soft tyres, which I think is a bit of a weird situation that they opted to go for. I don't know really why they chose to go down that route. But, I mean, I guess they did. We'll see what happens going forward. I have a feeling that the rules might change a little bit for Imola so that they can at least go out on used tyres, because if they can't go out on used tyres, then that's a little bit of a joke, to be honest. So, we'll see what happens going forward. But unsurprisingly, I guess you could say that a lot of what we saw in the sprint qualifying was actually the exact same as what we saw in normal qualifying yesterday. We saw the same person on pole position with Charles Leclerc. We saw the two Red Bulls in second and third, although, of course, it's the other way around. It's Perez P2 and Verstappen P3. And then we've once again got Carlos Sainz in fourth place, if I remember that right. So, not much of a change there. It seems like Aston Martin still has some DRS issues as well, which is a bit of a shame. But, yeah, we'll see what happens in this sprint race. I have a feeling if Aston Martin can't fix that DRS issue, then they are in a lot of trouble today. Because if they've not got that sorted out, then how on earth are they meant to overtake? Because Aston Martin in general is not a fast car in a straight line. So if it's not a fast car in a straight line, you take away DRS from them, they're never going to overtake anybody, are they? So it'll be interesting to see, I think, what happens in this sprint race with them having access, if whether or not, easy for me to say, Aston Martin, easy for me to say, actually has access to the DRS. Because if they don't, I don't see Aston Martin overtaking anybody in both the sprint race or the main Grand Prix. In fact, their probably best bet, if they don't have DRS, is to hope and pray that Ferrari does a Ferrari thing and either bins off Leclerc or bins off Sainz, or that they have a power unit issue. If they don't have that, then it could be a bit of a tricky evening for Aston Martin, both today and tomorrow. Santo Sahin, I can't Santo. Faith on Charles. Hope he gets support from his team. Me too. Me too, dude. I really, really am hoping that they don't do anything that could be negative towards Charles Leclerc. He really does need a good sprint race. He needs to get his season underway. I mean, you know, his season has been an absolute disaster so far this year. You know, he did not get off to a good start at all. Obviously, Bahrain could have been a good start, turned into not being a good start. And Saudi Arabia was a bit of a disaster, really. And Australia was a complete disaster. So, yeah, hopefully Ferrari don't do something silly with Charles Leclerc today. Keep it nice and simple. And I think Leclerc can win the sprint race today. He does need to have a good start to the sprint race if that's to happen. But I don't think it's actually impossible for Charles Leclerc to win today's sprint race. I don't think he's got the pace to win the Grand Prix, because I think over a full race distance, when you get a bit more tyre wear being an issue, we could see that possibly affect Charles Leclerc a little bit more, because of course Ferrari, as far as we are aware, are a little bit harder on their tyres than their rivals. So it'll be interesting to see if they are once again struggling a little bit on their tyres when we get to the Grand Prix, and maybe even today's sprint race. We might find out a little bit more about Ferrari's tyre wear in this sprint race. Hopefully it's not too bad. Like, I am just genuinely hoping it's not too bad. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking for today. I just want to say, guys, very quickly, if you're joining in, welcome. Please, you know, feel free to message in the chat. Feel free to say anything. I'm always up for a conversation, so if you've got any questions, if you've got any predictions, if you've got anything that you want to say, drop it down in the chat, and, you know, I will read it out, and I'll probably try and answer it as well, if I can. I should be able to answer it, though, unless it's something a bit too specific. Yeah. So, I just want to say also very quickly, if you haven't already, last night I did upload a video with my data analysis from the from what we saw on Friday, I should say. So, data analysis from practice and qualifying. That video is live. I did upload it at about 10 p.m. yesterday, so it was a little bit late, I gotta be honest. And I think with it being maybe a little bit late, I don't know if everyone has seen it or if it got missed off, because obviously it was uploaded so late. So if you haven't seen it, yeah, please go check it out. It's a good video. Definitely just get into all the data from what we saw and what we've learned really from the first cup, from what we learned on Friday. There's a lot from there, because there's a lot to digest, and there's a lot of interesting information. Like Alpine, for example. Alpine are really struggling this weekend. Obviously, we've seen that Gasly's had a bit of a shocker. Ocon's had a bit of a shocker as well in terms of pace. But you can really see it in the data as well, that Alpine are just struggling. Like, they've not got the setup right. So they are in for a very rough time. I think Ocon has actually been pulled out of Parc Fermé. So he's actually got a new setup, and I believe that means he's going to be starting both the sprint race and the main Grand Prix from the pit lane. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong there. Which I think is very interesting. That maybe tells you something, that they are aware that they've got it a little bit wrong, and they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what to do, so they're going to make some changes based on what they've learned, and hope and pray it's a little bit better. I wouldn't be surprised if they've done the same thing for Pierre Gasly as well, because Gasly has had a bit of a struggle this weekend. So we'll see what happens with those guys in both today's race and also in tomorrow's race. So, for those who don't know what we're going to be doing, we are going to be live for the sprint race today. We're going to be doing a watch along with you guys. So, yeah, feel free to, you know, chat away. We're going to be watching it together, reacting together. And also talking about what we maybe saw or what we see that's a little bit different to what we have maybe come to get used to expecting so far this year. What's my opinion on Albon? How far can he go? I think he did a good job. Albon did a great job. Albon's doing brilliantly so far this year. The Williams is not the best car, but yet he is doing a fantastic job in that Williams, getting it in places it probably doesn't deserve to be. You know, he did a great job in sprint qualifying here today as well. I think Logan Sargent, if he didn't crash, could have also done very well, because it looked like from, what was it, Sprint Quali 1 or whatever they want to call it, Sargent was doing alright until he, you know, crashed. So, yeah, I mean, I think Albon's doing very well. The Williams' lack of downforce is an issue, and it's going to be something that hurts them going through some of the slower sections in Sector 2. It might mean that they're a little bit harder on their tyres, but I don't think tyre wear is actually going to be that big of an issue this weekend, because the resurfaced circuit does seem to be having an effect, and it's a positive effect in the sense that it has reduced tyre wear. So yeah, I think Albon's doing very well, and you know, I think he's got potential. He has got potential. If he gets off to a good start and he doesn't make a silly mistake like he did in Australia, then it is possible that Albon could score some points today, and maybe even tomorrow. I think maybe today might be a bit actually ambitious. I think he'd require, he'd probably require someone like Leclerc and Sainz, or Leclerc and Verstappen to come together, or something like that, or Verstappen and Perez. You know, people come together, I think, for Albon to score some points, but it's possible. Who knows? Sprint race could be wild today. I am very intrigued in how the sprint race is going to go today. It's either going to be absolute chaos or completely boring. It's not going to be something in the middle. I'm hoping it's complete chaos. Qualifying was chaos, so I'm hoping that sprint race could be a little bit chaotic as well. So for those who are wondering, I have got I've got F1 TV on today, so I'm going to be using F1 TV for what I'm watching, as well as, you know, obviously all the data. The data is provided by F1 Multiviewer, so if you haven't got Multiviewer but you have got F1 TV, I highly recommend downloading Multiviewer. It's free. It's an incredible app. It's what I'm using it to give me all this information up here that you guys can see and you guys can use. It tells you everything you need to know. It tells you what tyres are on, what their tyre life is. It tells you all the mini sectors as well. So not just the 3 sectors that normal F1 TV will tell you. It'll also tell you all the mini sectors. It's a fantastic tool, and it's free. It is free, and that is awesome. I also just want to say that I have opened up in the description for this stream, as you might be able to see if you look in the description, I've opened up a Streamlabs donation thing. So if you want to send me a tip, like, you know, to support the stream, to support me as a small content creator, then it would be greatly appreciated. I also have a join feature. So if you want to join the channel, become a member, get access to emotes and other things that I haven't really worked out yet, but I will be doing as time goes on. Then feel free to join the channel as a member, or send a tip my way. You guys don't have to do that. I'm not forcing you to do that. It's just if you want to help out the channel, it would be appreciated. If, of course, you just want to sit back with me and enjoy the stream and enjoy the race, then that's also perfectly fine, and that'd be very much welcome, actually. I would love to just sit and chill and enjoy this race, because, like I said before, I do think it could be a good race, and I am hoping that it is going to be a very good race today. I see no reason why it won't be a good race, but you never know, of course, with how sprint racing goes, like I said before. What time does the sprint start? The sprint starts at 2:30, so in 28 minutes from now, Jules. So welcome aboard. It's good to see you. I hope you're doing well. How you doing, my friend? But yeah, the sprint race does start at 2:30. That's lights out. Hopefully, a few minutes before then, we'll get a good understanding of what tyres everyone has opted to go onto. And yeah, we should see what to expect for today's sprint race. Thoughts on Ferrari, Seb Vettel? My thoughts on Ferrari are that they are doing very well so far this weekend. This is a weekend where they really should be doing well, though. They've got good straight line efficiency, so they can run a little bit more downforce and still have an efficient car. And that is a huge benefit for them. So this should be a weekend that does play into their favour. It is, though, just a matter of how are they doing in terms of tyre wear in the main Grand Prix. I think they should be okay in today's sprint race, but with the main Grand Prix, you never know. Anything could happen in this Grand Prix and in the main Grand Prix, and that's a worry. That's the only thing I'm worried about for Ferrari is their tyre wear, because other than that, they've got great efficiency, so they should be perfectly fine here today in the sprint race. So that's my thoughts on Ferrari. Yeah, should be good. And yeah, just as I said, the sprint race does start in 25 minutes. Sorry about that. I just had to blow my nose because I'm not doing very well. So, yeah, so sorry about that. But we're back. Yes, they are right now just getting ready. So the cars are coming out onto the grid right now. All probably going to be on the medium compound tyres. I'll be surprised if anyone is on anything other than the medium compound tyres for this race, because they're probably going to want to save the hard compounds for tomorrow's Grand Prix. And the soft tyres are probably a little bit too soft to use for a full stint. Santo, I still put my coins on Checo. You got faith in Checo, haven't you? I think Checo could do well today. If Checo gets off to a good launch and gets past Leclerc early on, then I think Checo very much can and probably will win this sprint race. But he does just need to make sure he gets off to a good start. And he could very well do that, you know. So, yeah, I think putting your money on Checo is not a bad idea, actually. It's not the worst idea you've probably come up with. So, yeah, no, I like that idea. I think Checo has got a good chance. And he has got good pace. He's got better pace than I probably anticipated. I think initially I didn't think he had great pace. But I would say he's definitely got some good pace in the car. And he very well could score some very good points today. Especially, like I said, if he gets off to a good start. He gets off to a good start, he's flying. You know what I mean? He's flying, and from there, yeah, he could very easily win this sprint race today. But that's the interesting thing today. Any one of the top three could win this race. And that's what we've been missing, I think, so far this year. That really someone other than Red Bull has a good chance of winning today's race. It could be the Ferrari. Obviously, it could be one of the two Red Bulls. So, yeah, no, I think that's great. I'm glad you put your money on Checo. I mean, it's a good choice. It's not an impossible choice today. I don't know about the main Grand Prix, though. I've got to be honest. I think in the main Grand Prix, Checo might struggle a little bit more. But in the sprint race, definitely Checo's got a good chance. What if it is a 1-2 for Ferrari? Welcome to the stream, Athav. Hey, look, if it's a 1-2 for Ferrari, I am going to be screaming at the top of my lungs. I don't think it will be a 1-2 for Ferrari. I don't think Sainz has got the pace today. Sainz this weekend has been a little bit off. And it's a shame to see, you know, he has been a little bit off from where Charles Leclerc has been. He's also been off a little bit from where the two Red Bulls have been. So Sainz has been a little bit anonymous this weekend. But, you know, again, Sainz, it's possible he gets on the podium, but he might require, I think, someone a bit further ahead to maybe come off. Not in the sprint, but in the race. Yeah, I mean, in the sprint, could he get it? Possible. Yeah, I think for Sainz to get it up to second place, or even first, there's no denying he could still win the race. He will need a very well-timed safety car that perfectly helps him and absolutely shafts the Red Bull drivers. Because, yeah, he's just been a little bit off the pace, sadly, of those guys. I mean, he started this sprint race, actually, in 5th place. My mistake. I thought it was 4th place he was starting. But that's incorrect. He's actually starting the sprint race in 5th place behind George Russell. Russell, I should say, had a brilliant day today. He struggled last time out yesterday in qualifying, of course, being knocked out in Q2. But today, he is up in 4th place for the sprint race. So it's going to be very interesting, I think, to see where George Russell can find himself in today's race. If Russell gets off to a good start and gets ahead of one of the two Red Bulls, then I think it could be very, very exciting. Although I do think, even though if he does get past one of the Red Bulls, I do think it's probably going to be likely that they get straight back past him with their straight line speed. I should have streamed Sprint Shootout. Dude, I wanted to stream Sprint Shootout. Yeah, I wanted to, but I thought Sprint Shootout was at 10:30, not 9:30. So because it was at 9:30, I just didn't have time. I had stuff to do in the morning, unfortunately, and also I had my girlfriend around, and she was like, can you please just not do it whilst I'm here? So, yeah, so I couldn't do it while she was around, because I don't think she really wants to be involved in, like, anywhere near camera or anything, so, yeah, so I couldn't stream Sprint Shootout. I would have loved to, but I got the timing a little bit wrong. Hey, look, I don't want to imagine what reaction I would have had to seeing Leclerc bin it and still get pole position. I will say this, I did scream a little bit when I heard that Leclerc was in the wall, and then I saw Verstappen not beat Charles Leclerc, so yeah, it was a loud reaction, I will say that, when that happened. So yeah, unfortunately for you guys didn't get to see that. Only myself and my girlfriend got to see the reaction of me when Leclerc binned it and still got pole position. You never know, you might get a similar reaction today if he bins it early on in the sprint race, and it's entirely possible. Yeah, it seems like for some reason Baku is synonymous with Leclerc doing very well and also finding the wall. So yeah, he's very fast around Baku, but he does seem to have some consistency issues from time to time, which hopefully is not an issue. Hopefully it's not something that happens today. Hopefully he can keep it together for the sprint race and score some very good points, because yeah, like I said before, Leclerc really does need to get this season underway. He has had a bit of a stinker when it comes to the start of the year. Some of it his fault, some of it not his fault. As I've said before, you know, what happened in Bahrain was not his fault. Bahrain, he was on track for a podium. Saudi Arabia had to take a power unit penalty, which is out of his control. And then Australia, yeah, that was Leclerc's fault, I'm not going to lie. That was 100% Leclerc's fault in Australia. But yeah, hopefully today can be a little bit better for him. And yeah, Ferrari also, just in general, they are looking a little bit stronger this weekend. I did say I kind of expected them to be a little bit stronger. And yeah, hopefully they can continue what they're building upon, because they were the second fastest car at times in Australia, and also, yeah, they were great today. When do you think Fernando will actually retire? When will Fernando retire? I think Fernando's still got another couple of years left in him. So some drivers, when they get to the age that Fernando's at, drop off a cliff in terms of how they perform. Kimi Räikkönen, for example, he really dropped off in those last few years in terms of what he could actually manage. But Fernando has just got this rare ability where he can keep just pumping in good performance after performance after performance in a relentless pace. So Fernando's got a good few years left in him still, I think. If I had to pick a time when I think he's actually going to go, I would say Fernando will retire when the new regulations come in. 2026 then? So yeah, I think he's got until 2026. Aston Martin right now are in a great place. They're still building. And I think with Aston Martin building, that's going to urge Fernando to keep on going. And he's still performing at such a high level. He's still way faster than Lance Stroll, for example. So he's still performing at such a high level that there's no reason, really, for Fernando Alonso to look at retiring right now. I know some people say, oh, he's got to make way for the young drivers. No, he doesn't. Formula One's supposed to be the top level, so why does he have to make way for some 20-year-olds, They've got all their career to potentially get to Formula One, so yeah, I don't see Fernando retiring at least until 2026 when the new regulations come in. I think that'll be a good place to stop because it'll be a bit of an unknown what the running order will be for then. So it'll be a good point for him to probably call it a day. But yeah, right now with Aston Martin building and getting faster and faster and faster. Okay, this weekend has been a bit of a step back, but in general getting faster and faster and faster. Yeah, Fernando should stick around, I think, for another few years. And especially if they continue, if they carry on at the trajectory that they're on, Aston Martin next year could be looking at a championship or putting on a championship fight with one of their drivers. And that driver is probably going to be Fernando Alonso. So, if that's the case, then, yeah, there's no reason for him to go. What if Hamilton also joined Aston Martin before retiring, making Aston Martin team of legends retiring? Not happening, but hey, look, that would be cool. I imagine if that would happen, Fernando has to retire first. Because I can't imagine Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton being teammates once again. And also, I can't exactly imagine them getting rid of Lance Stroll unless they really need to. I think Aston Martin, if they're very serious about trying to win, do need to look at moving on from Lance Stroll. Stroll is improving, don't get me wrong. Stroll is performing better and better. This year's been by far his best year. He's not been involved in too many silly incidents. Almost got involved in taking out Fernando Alonso in Bahrain, but other than that, he's not been too bad. But if Aston Martin really want to take it to the next level, they need a better driver. And I think Lawrence Stroll needs to, maybe just have a word with his son and say, look, you're great, you're good, but you ain't taking us to that next level. And I think Lance Stroll would make a fantastic Aston Martin World Endurance Championship driver as well. Yeah, I think he'd be much more suited to that. Personally, anyway. But we shall see what happens with that. But yeah, if Aston want to take it to the next level, then they probably need to look at moving on from Lance Stroll. But yeah. Anyway, with Hamilton joining Aston Martin, yeah, Hamilton to join Aston Martin would require Fernando Alonso to have already retired. So maybe just maybe Hamilton might join Aston Martin in 2026 then, after Fernando retires at the end of 2025, if we're going off what my predictions were for what those guys are going to be doing. So I've got F1 TV on right now, and they are talking about the DRS issues that Aston Martin have been having. And, okie dokie, that's interesting. That's very interesting. So, Will Buxton here has just been talking about the Aston Martin DRS system, because their DRS, for those who don't know, has been failing in both qualifying on Friday and also sprint qualifying. Sprint qualifying today, they didn't have DRS, a crucial point, just like they didn't on Friday. And Aston Martin have basically just said, according to Will Buxton, are we going to have DRS? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe we'll have DRS, maybe we won't. So with that being the case, I am not sure that Aston Martin are going to have DRS today. And then, like I said at the beginning of the stream, if Aston Martin don't have DRS, then they don't have a chance at overtaking anyone. They're not fast enough in a straight line to overtake their rivals. So how are they going to do it without DRS when they can barely do it with DRS? So yeah, that's a big yikes for Aston Martin here today. And even for tomorrow, even more so for tomorrow, that they will not have DRS, meaning they will not be able to overtake anybody. And they're going to be hoping for drivers in front to make mistakes. Do you think Perez could fight for the championship with Max? No. No, I don't. I'd love for Checo to do it, I really would. But he doesn't have that last couple of tenths of fight in him that you need to fight Max Verstappen. The only driver that has that really is Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton. I don't think Charles Leclerc has that dog in him to truly take a fight to Max Verstappen. I think it's really only Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton that can do it. And I certainly don't think Perez could, unfortunately. Perez has his moments, don't get me wrong. Perez does have his moments, but Perez is not at a level where he could really take the fight to Max. So the sprint race, we're just seeing now, Alex Brundle saying that the sprint race is 17 laps long, and he's right now going to be taking a look back at some previous races here at Baku. I don't know what year that is, it's a bit zoomed out. I'm assuming it's 2021 based on the fact that there's no grandstands there. Yep, it is the 2021 race starts. Yeah, of course, remember 2021 was still pandemic era, so yes, they had no grandstands at the circuit. So he's just taking a quick look at the start, and we're getting an idea here of the distance from the race start to turn 1. It's not a long run, so with it not being a very long run to turn 1, it means that it is difficult to overtake unless the driver in front gets a bad start, because you haven't got that time to really get into a slipstream and try and find a way past them. So that's very interesting that he is actually bringing that up. It's a good point. It is a very, very good point. But Charles' fight with Max in Bahrain and Jeddah last year was fire. It was fire. You're right. It was fire. That was incredible. That was some of the best racing we saw all year last year. I really enjoyed seeing those two fight it out in Bahrain and Jeddah, where they were overtaken, then re-overtaken, then re-overtaking each other. That was awesome. I really enjoyed that. But I'll be surprised if we see something like that this year. One of the unfortunate things that I've noticed this year is it seems like following is a bit harder. I've said that in a couple of videos. Following cars ahead is a bit harder than it was in previous years. So because of it being a bit harder to follow, we have seen that it's less likely we see those sorts of battles, unfortunately. But hopefully, I think as the season progresses, we can maybe see some more battling very similar to that. That would be awesome. I'd love to see that. But yeah, that battle last year in Jeddah was fire. You are right. I'm not gonna lie. So, for those that are wondering what Alex Brundle was just talking about just there, Brundle was basically just talking about what we've seen in the past at Baku. And what he was basically showing us was those first few corners, turn 1, turn 2, and more importantly, turn 3. Turn 3 is the big important corner here at the start of the race. What he was basically showing us is it does really get very tight at turn 3, and it is likely that we will see some incidents there with some drivers throwing it down the inside, some drivers getting locked up, going steaming into the corner, just kind of like what we saw with Nick de Vries in qualifying yesterday, where he just went a little bit too fast, it has to be said, into that corner and steamed into the wall. Can McLaren be top midfield team? Yes, I think they can be. I think they are the top midfield team this weekend, really. Alpine are struggling. Alpine have got such little pace right now that they don't have the ability right now, in my opinion, to be able to take the fight to McLaren. Alfa Romeo is obviously a bit slower. We've got Albon up in P7, which is insane. Like, that's just ludicrous that Albon is up in P7 right now for this race. But I do think overall, McLaren is the top midfield team. Williams, at least with Albon, is going to be good. But unfortunately for them, their lack of downforce is probably going to backfire a little bit. It's good over one lap, but I think that lack of downforce could hurt them when it comes to the race here today and especially tomorrow. So yeah, McLaren being top midfield team, I think is a certainty. You know, I think it's a slam dunk certainty. And if Aston Martin doesn't have DRS, then it's possible, it's not guaranteed, but it is possible that, Albon can overtake an Aston Martin. Funnily enough, what I was about to say is I think a McLaren could overtake an Aston Martin as well, particularly Lance Stroll. We could see that happen here today. Aston Martin without DRS is in trouble. They're in a lot of trouble without that DRS. That's going to be interesting to see, I think. Will Aston Martin be able to hold off Williams? That's wild. Like, Aston Martin, third fastest car overall at most circuits. But comes to Baku, and they get overtaken by a Williams. That's a mental thought. So, yeah, I think that could happen. That really, really could happen here today. But we're getting ready now, then, for the sprint. It's time. Will there be a red flag today? Probably. Yeah, probably. I'm not going to lie. I think there's a good chance we see a red flag here today. Especially if we saw it in sprint qualifying. We've seen it in normal qualifying as well. So, yeah, with this being a bit more of a faster race where they push a little bit harder, absolutely we could see a red flag today. And I think if we're going to see it, we'll most likely see it on the first lap, where they're all going into turn 1, turn 2, and maybe even turn 3. What time does the race start? The race starts in 4 minutes times, Jules. So the race is not far from starting right now. F1 TV are just getting ready now. So, yeah, 5 minutes to go. Thank you. So, yeah, 5 minutes left to go. We've got the race intro right now. So it's doing the opening title sequence. So that gives you an indication just how close we are now to the start of the sprint race. I think everyone's going to be doing this race on the medium compound tyres. I don't think anyone's going to use softs. And I don't think anyone's going to use the hards. I think they're going to all save the hards for tomorrow. And I think that the soft tyres are done. Nobody's going to need the soft tyres for the rest of this race weekend. And everyone's going to use the medium tyres here today. The question is, though, will they be using the medium tyres that they used earlier on today in the sprint qualifying? I think they might do that and save a fresh set of mediums for tomorrow's race. But we're about to find out now as we are getting ready for the sprint race. Alex Jacques is introducing us to the sprint race. So it's round 4 of the year. This is going to be exciting, guys. I'm ready for this. I don't know about you guys, but I am absolutely buzzing for this sprint race. They've got a different race intro music, I've just noticed as well, which is kind of cool, I guess. I think they're trying to, like, separate sprint race from the main Grand Prix as much as possible. So, yeah, it's nice for them to have a slightly different tone of music for the introduction to the sprint race. We're still yet to see what tyres everyone is starting this race on. I want to know what tyres everyone's on, but we're still not getting that information yet. Hopefully we'll get it soon. Because I really want to know what people are starting this race on. I think it's going to be mediums, but there's no guarantees. Oh, actually, now we have got it up. And so, here it is. Here is the tyre selection for the start of the sprint race. Charles Leclerc is starting on fresh medium tyres. Ferrari's going for the strategy where they're going to have the maximum grip off the line, and they're opting for a fresh set of medium tyres. Sergio Perez in second place is on used medium tyres that have done 4 laps. Max Verstappen is on used mediums that have done 3 laps. George Russell is starting on medium tyres that have done 7 laps. That's a lot of laps on the mediums. Carlos Sainz is starting on a fresh set of medium tyres. Lewis Hamilton is starting on a set of mediums that have done 6 laps. Alex Albon is starting on a set of mediums that have done 6 laps. Fernando Alonso is starting on a set of mediums that have done 5 laps. Lance Stroll on a set of mediums that have done 6 laps. And this is the interesting one. Lando Norris has rolled the dice. Lando Norris has gone for the soft compound tyres in today's sprint race. That is very, very exciting. This is going to be a good sprint race, guys. We've got different tyres. We've got Leclerc and Carlos Sainz going for the fresh medium tyres. They're going for the maximum grip possible off the start of the line. Perez, Verstappen, Hamilton, Russell, they've gone for the used medium tyres. And I think they're going to be hoping that those used medium tyres can help them in this race. Because usually scrubbed mediums, once they get a heat cycle put through them, can actually be a harder compound of tyre, meaning that they have a little bit more grip, and that could be why they've opted to start this sprint race on the used tyres instead of the fresh ones. First race where there can be a fight to Red Bull. Yeah, that I think is exactly why Charles Leclerc has opted for the fresh mediums. He's opted for the fresh ones so that he could take the fight to Red Bull here today. Now, I said in my data analysis video, I really do think that Charles Leclerc can take the fight to Red Bull here today in the sprint race. And I don't think he'll be able to beat them in the main Grand Prix. With them opting to go for these fresh medium tyres, that tells me that Ferrari think the same thing. They're going to use a fresh set of mediums here today, and then tomorrow they're probably going to use the used medium tyres. So they are opting, in my opinion, to go on those fresh tyres, get that maximum grip, that maximum bite from the tyre to get a good launch and try to hold off the Red Bulls early on in this sprint race. This is going to be exciting, guys. If you haven't already, I would appreciate if you just hit the like button, because this is going to be a good sprint race. And we are now just on the formation lap for today's sprint. Sprint race is 17 laps here today. I wonder how many of those are going to be under the safety car. I imagine probably like 6 or 7 of them. Yeah, I think we're going to get quite a few safety cars. They might use soft hardening full race because of tyre deg. Possible, but unlikely. I think they're more likely to use used mediums as opposed to used softs. I don't believe anyone has any fresh softs for the Grand Prix itself. So with that in mind, they're probably going to go onto the used mediums because they'd probably rather have a used medium as opposed to a used soft. And then if there's a safety car later on in the race, then maybe they'll then change to the soft tyres. But I don't think personally we're going to see the soft tyres in the race itself. So for those who are wondering, they're right now coming around the back end of the circuit now. There's a huge gap. The Aston Martins have opened up a huge gap to the cars in front. That's very interesting. They've opted to go very, very slowly And I think they're hoping that the that the Mercedes, the Ferraris, and the Red Bulls tires cool down a little bit too much, and Aston Martin can then get the launch on them off the start of this sprint race. That's very interesting. But right now, of course, we've got Leclerc. He's slowly trying to back up the field a little bit. Pierre Gasly is a long way away, as is Nick De Vries. It's going to be interesting to see if De Vries and Gasly can get through this without causing any incidents. It would be nice for them to get through it without causing any incidents, but we shall see as this race unfolds. So here we got Charles Leclerc then. He's weaving the tyres. He's trying to get a bit of temperature into them before the start of this sprint race. We're probably going to see them do a couple of burnouts as well, just to get that last bit of tyre temperature into those rear tyres, so they've got as much grip as possible as the race gets underway. Ferrari need to get a good launch here. They've got fresh medium tyres versus their rivals who are all on used medium tyres. So with these fresh mediums, they need to maximize this and get the best launch possible with the maximum grip that they have from those tyres. So there we go. We got Leclerc and the Red Bulls. They have lined up on the grid. We've got the Aston Martins now just lining up on the grid as well. The tension is building. There's Logan Sargent, unfortunately not taking part in today's sprint race. But the anticipation's building. I'm excited for this one, guys. This is going to be a good sprint race. The last couple of cars now coming to the line. So we're just waiting now for the last car, Nick De Vries, to pull up on the grid. And when he does, the 5 lights are going to go on. And when they go off, the sprint race will be underway. It's lights out and away we go. It's a good start there from the Red Bull. But Leclerc gets off to a flying start. Leclerc gets off to a great start. George Russell down the inside there on the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. Has he managed to get him? He has. He's got the inside line for turn 2. And there's contact there between Russell and Max Verstappen, but not major contact. Through goes George Russell, past the Red Bull. George Russell's done it. He's ahead of the Red Bull there, but Red Bull of Verstappen's going to come around the outside. Can he do anything? No, he can't. He's edged out to the wall. And Carlos Sainz now is going to try and find a way past Max Verstappen. Can he find a way through? No, he can't. But George Russell there finds a way past. George Russell has found a way past the Red Bull there of Max Verstappen. And that is game over, I think, for Verstappen. There's been a slight incident, Jules, between George Russell and Max Verstappen, but it's not enough for any damage. Both drivers are perfectly fine. Russell slowly crowded Max Verstappen to the wall, but there's nothing wrong with that. That was fine. It was perfectly fine in my opinion. So, we got Charles Leclerc leading the sprint race from Sergio Perez in second place. There's a 1 second gap between Perez and Leclerc. That's very, very important. Yep, that's very interesting there. GP just getting on the radio to Verstappen saying, look, man, calm down. They've got nothing to lose. You've got it all to lose. So just keep calm. We've got a yellow flag. It's Yuki Tsunoda. Tsunoda's been in the wall. That's going to be a safety car. Tsunoda's hit the wall. And Yuki Tsunoda's sprint race has come to an end. That's got to be a safety car, surely, if he stops. The tyre is rolling down the circuit. So at the very least, it's going to be a virtual safety car. We got yellow all sectors. What does that mean? What are we going to see? Are we going to see a safety car here? No, the DRS is enabled right now. So in sprint race this year, I forgot to mention, DRS is enabled after only 1 lap. So they've got the DRS enabled right now. And we've still got a yellow flag. Is it going to be a virtual safety car? They've got the flags out. I'm surprised they're not throwing a virtual right now. Or are they going to go for it? What are they going to do here? Yellow flag right now. Leclerc is still leading this sprint race, by the way. Leclerc has got a decent gap, a 1.2 second gap to Sergio Perez in second. George Russell is third. There's a tyre. There's literally a tyre on the racing line. And there is debris on circuit. Why are they not throwing a safety car? Well, we've got a virtual safety car. There we go. VSC has been deployed. So let's see what happened here with Yuki Tsunoda then. I think he just clipped the wall. And he did! Oh, that's a weird place to hit the wall. That's a usual flat-out corner. And he's understeered into the wall there, Yuki Tsunoda. So there goes the tyre, making a bid for freedom. Yuki Tsunoda then hits the wall. We're under a VSC right now. There's a tyre. The cars are literally going past it, and there's just a tyre chilling in the middle of the track. Like, it's stood up. It's not even laid down. The tyre's just stood up in the middle of the circuit right now. But yeah, we've got a VSC. Tsunoda finally makes it back to the pits, but he is a lap down. So I think they should call it a day and probably just retire him. There's no point continuing this sprint race for Yuki Tsunoda. What are they going to do? Are they going to continue? Well, they're going to continue. They're going to put those medium tyres on. That's interesting. I think they should just retire Tsunoda at this point. Or are they actually retiring him? They are changing the front wing and looking at the suspension as well. If I was AlphaTauri right now, I would just retire him. There's no point sending him out. There is no point sending him out because those mediums are going to be necessary for tomorrow's Grand Prix. So if he's using these mediums that he wanted to use tomorrow, then he's not going to have mediums for the race. So I'm very surprised there that they're looking at sending him back out. He is back out on track as well. Looking on the track map, you can see here that Yuki Tsunoda has gone back out onto the track. Here's the incident between Russell and Verstappen. Very slight contact going into turn 2 there between Verstappen and George Russell. I gotta be honest, racing incident. Absolute racing incident. Because it's so tight into turn 2, there's nothing that they can do. And what? So they've sent Tsunoda back out, and Tsunoda, his steering wheel is literally at like a 45-degree angle. He's crabbing along the circuit. What on why did they send him back out? Tsunoda right now, if you can't see it, because you're not watching, is literally driving like that. He is at, like, his wheel's at a 45-degree angle. How did nobody in AlphaTauri spot that his rear suspension was broken? Like, he's crabbing along the circuit right now. Tsunoda, stop. Just stop. Like, they may as well just stop the car. Because otherwise, we're just going to be under this VSC for a very long time unnecessarily. With a car that is, like, crabbing along the circuit. Like, maybe they're going to get the race back underway and just be like, well, they sent him back out and we'll see what happens. But, yeah, we're still under VSC right now. It's turned to a full safety car. The full safety car has now come out. So that 1 second lead that Charles Leclerc had has been washed away. We're going to get a safety car now here in Baku. Not really a surprise that the safety car has been deployed with Tsunoda crabbing around the circuit like that. And we got an Alpine here coming into the pits. Who is that then? Who's going to go for that? I think that's got to be Pierre Gasly, surely. Diving into the pits to get off of those mediums and maybe put a set of soft tyres on. So let's see then what's going to happen. We got, safety car deployed. So for people just joining who are wondering what's happening right now we are under a safety car. The safety car has been deployed here in Baku after Yuki Tsunoda hit the wall. He hit the wall, and with him hitting the wall, he damaged his suspension, and then they sent him back out. And with them sending him back out, they actually didn't realize his suspension was completely broken, so he's crabbing around the circuit right now. And because of that, he's crabbing around the circuit, and the safety car is out. We've just seen the Alpine of Esteban Ocon coming into the pits, and what Alpine have opted to do is swap Ocon from the mediums to a set of soft compound tyres, and those soft tyres are going to take Ocon to the end of this sprint race, and he's now got the benefit of soft tyres to go and only do something like, 12 laps? So, yeah, with him only having to do 12 laps on those soft tyres, they should easily do it with Ocon being able to push flat out And you never know now. We could see some good racing with Esteban Ocon and... So, Yuki Tsunoda is still crabbing around the circuit. He's just getting into the fast section of the track right now. So, he's almost made it back to the pits. I have a feeling that once he's made it back to the pits, then we will get this race back underway. But yeah, as of right now, still under a safety car here in Baku. It looks like a crab. It does look like a crab. He is crabbing around that circuit quite hard. The crabs are out in force in Baku right now. Yeah, so the FIA are going to be investigating that because, unsurprisingly, AlphaTauri sending a car out in a dangerous manner is worth investigating. Not really surprised, I guess. So we're still under safety car then here in Baku. What lap are we on right now then? We have just finished lap number 4, so it's going to be lap number 5 under the safety car. And then after that, when the safety car comes in and the race gets back underway, we're going to have a very quick sprint race then. Let's have a look here. So, ooh, that's interesting. So, they've just showed on F1 TV an incident between De Vries and Tsunoda. So I was wondering why Tsunoda was missing the other side of his wing when he hit the wall on the other side. And it turns out the reason for that, it looks like, is there was contact between Tsunoda and De Vries. And that would explain probably why Tsunoda understeered into the wall. But yeah, why the mechanic then? The mechanic actually gave him a thumbs up that the car was fine. That's wild. Yeah, 10-lap race is going to be very interesting. This is going to be a wild 10-lap sprint race, I think. We're going to have a lot happen in this sprint race. 10 laps, fresh tyres, full pedal to the metal. There's going to be no one saving now. Like, there may have been a little bit of saving going on, but that's not going to happen now with this safety car. Is the safety car coming in? Yes, safety car in this lap. We're going to be getting the sprint race back underway, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, we're going to be getting the race back underway. So we got a 10-lap sprint race then to the end of this sprint race. 11-lap sprint race to the end of this sprint race. It's going to be very interesting then to see what happens as this race gets back underway. What is Verstappen going to do? Is Verstappen going to be aggressive with George Russell after George Russell somewhat crowded Max Verstappen into the wall? Oh. There was a cut. Ooh. Oh no, don't tell me we're going to get some Ferrari unreliability there. Leclerc saying there was a cut. Now the question is was that a cut to the power unit or a cut in the tyre? We don't really know. I have a feeling if he's saying it the way he did, that was a cut to the power unit. And it's going to be very interesting to see if Charles Leclerc is going to have some reliability issues. And this, if he does have a power unit failure, is not only going to affect him today, it is going to affect him tomorrow in the main Grand Prix as well. And that will be a disaster for Leclerc. Surely he's not got a power unit issue. Surely he's not. Anyway, we're about to get the sprint race back underway. So we're going to be getting this race back underway very shortly. Right now, Leclerc is just weaving. He is right now the safety car as the safety car is coming back in the pits. And here we go. The sprint race is about to be back underway then. When is Leclerc going to go? He goes now. Leclerc goes now. And Sergio Perez is all over the back of him. Max Verstappen has nailed the restart. He's got George Russell down the inside. Surely into turn 1 here. Verstappen's going to take the position. Yes, he does. Through he goes. And Carlos Sainz there almost makes contact with the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. And now the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso finds a way past Lewis Hamilton and almost found a way there through past the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. What can Fernando Alonso do now? He is in the slipstream of the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. He's going to be able to look for a way past? No, he's not. So the race is back underway. Max Verstappen has found a way past the Mercedes and George Russell. That is exactly what Max Verstappen needed to do here today. So Verstappen is through, back up to P3 in this sprint race. And it's going to be interesting now to see if Leclerc can pull away once again from Sergio Perez. It doesn't look like right now he will be able to, and we might very well see Sergio Perez get the DRS. Now, did Verstappen overtake George Russell before the start-finish line? Yeah, he did. He did it after the start-finish line, so a perfectly legal move there by Max Verstappen to get through and past George Russell, and that is Verstappen then up to P3 in this race. Perez right now is going to get the DRS on Charles Leclerc. This is not over then for Charles Leclerc. Leclerc in the early phases was able to pull away, but at the restart, he's not been able to pull away. And with that, we could see Sergio Perez find a way through and past Charles Leclerc and into the lead of this sprint race. Here we go then, down the straight. He's not going to get DRS this time, but in the second DRS zone, we're going to see Sergio Perez with the DRS. And is he going to find a way past Charles Leclerc? Leclerc sets the new fastest lap of the race, which is kind of what you expect. But here we go now. What is Sergio Perez going to be able to do about Charles Leclerc in front of him? He's got the DRS. He's getting closer and closer and closer, but he's not close enough to try and move. He's just going to sit behind him right now. But it looks like Sergio Perez might very well be on his way to win the Baku sprint race here today if he can just stick with Charles Leclerc in this second sector. Let's see what's going to happen then. Through sector 2 we go. Sergio Perez is getting closer and closer then to the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. And behind, there's not really that much happening. It's going to be interesting to see if Alonso's got the DRS as well, because he's right now in DRS range of Carlos Sainz. But the question is, has he actually got DRS? Who knows? We're probably about to find out very shortly. So here we go then. Here is the Red Bull of Sergio Perez getting closer and closer. He's right there with Charles Leclerc. He's half a second behind him. Yeah, I think Perez is going to take Charles Leclerc here. And we go down the back straight right now. Here we go. Sergio Perez, he's got the DRS. And he's got the slipstream. He's going to be getting closer and closer now to the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Here he goes. He gets closer and closer. Here comes the DRS. Open goes the DRS now. Is Sergio Perez about to take the lead of this race? I think he is. Yes, he does. Down the inside, through goes Sergio Perez. As easy as you like. Sergio Perez takes the lead of the sprint race. What can Leclerc do here, though? He's going to get the DRS himself. Can Leclerc come back then at Sergio Perez? Or is this game over for for Charles Leclerc? He's going to try it, but yeah. Yep, can't do anything. Sergio Perez takes the lead then of the sprint race, and I have a feeling that is game over for Charles Leclerc here today. I don't think he'll be able to take the fight to the Red Bull there of Sergio Perez. And next up is going to be Max Verstappen, it looks like, getting closer and closer then to the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. That's unfortunate, guys. That is a little bit unfortunate. That it looks like it could very well be game over then for Charles Leclerc. Unless something happens with the Red Bull of Sergio Perez, of course, between now and the end of the race. And there's that very slight contact between George Russell and Max Verstappen early on. No. So Tsunoda starting last place tomorrow? No, because I believe they can repair his car without taking it out of Parc Fermé, because the part that they need to put on is an identical part. So they should have identical rear suspension parts, and with that in mind, then Tsunoda should still be able to start where he did in yesterday's qualifying. So he should still be in the top 10 for tomorrow, but that is down to whether or not AlphaTauri opt to make any changes to his car. But as of right now, tomorrow, Yuki Tsunoda will still be starting in the top 10, as far as I'm aware. So Don't worry about that. Don't worry, he will still be in the top 10. So here we go. There we go. Look at that. Leclerc then has got the DRS. And with DRS, Leclerc cannot get any closer to the Red Bull as Sergio Perez. That's interesting. That is very interesting there. That Charles Leclerc really could not get any closer to the Red Bull there of Sergio Perez. And that is even though Leclerc's got DRS. Those Red Bulls are so fast in a straight line. They are an absolute rocket ship. Here we go. We've got a replay right now then of the McLarens with Oscar Piastri. Piastri just overtook his teammate Lando Norris. Now, Piastri started on the mediums and Norris started on the soft tyres. So I wonder if the softs are not working for Lando Norris, which will be very interesting for tomorrow's race. Because if that's the case, yeah, Norris is dropping back like a stone. Norris is a long way behind Oscar Piastri right now. So it looks like those soft tyres for Lando Norris are gone. Like, they are donezo. They are not working for him at all. As we get to look right now at Charles Leclerc. That's really interesting. So Leclerc's in the slipstream, but he can only just... Yeah, Sergio Perez. So Sergio Perez right now is got no slipstream. Charles Leclerc does have slipstream. And yet Leclerc cannot get closer to Perez. Despite the fact Leclerc's got Perez. That is, yeah, that's very interesting. The Ferrari, it seems, is a little bit too slow in a straight line versus those Red Bulls. But that is what I've been saying in all my data analysis videos. The Red Bulls are so fast in a straight line that literally nobody can do anything about Red Bull. Like, they are so fast. Their car is so efficient. It's not a case of the Honda engine. I know that I see some people talking about the Honda engine and that's why... And that's why the Red Bulls are so fast. But that's not the case. It's actually got nothing to do with the Honda engines. It's all down to the fact that the Red Bull is aerodynamically so efficient. And their efficiency basically means that they're very, very fast in a straight line. And then when they activate DRS, their DRS is even more efficient than anyone else's. So they drop even more drag and are able to go even faster still. But yeah, right now it looks like, yeah, Verstappen is slowly getting closer to the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. And Sergio Perez is pulling away. So it looks like Perez has got this sprint race very much won. And it's now just a matter of time maybe before Max Verstappen finds a way past Charles Leclerc. As Lando Norris is told to box. And I think that's the end of the sprint race then for Lando Norris. So Norris is out of the sprint race as Max Verstappen sets a new fastest lap here in the sprint race. So now Verstappen is closing that gap down as we can see that the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll there is right behind the Williams of Alex Albon. And not only there was Stroll behind the Williams of Alex Albon, Stroll had the DRS. So DRS is working right now for the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll. And for Stroll, that is very important. He's going to be so glad that he has got some form of DRS to attack. Hopefully Alonso has got some for tomorrow as well, but we don't really know. And, oh, that's interesting. So McLaren have boxed Norris and sent him back out on the mediums. So maybe the soft tyres are just not working for Norris. Maybe the soft tyres are really that soft that they just had no grip after a good 10-11 laps of the sprint race. That's very interesting. So there is Norris' sprint race run and done, really. So again, much like with Tsunoda, I'm surprised they've sent him back out and didn't just retire him there. Because he's so far behind that there's really nothing that Lando Norris can do right now. Like, there is literally nothing he can do. Verstappen right now then is going to get the DRS, it looks like, on the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Has he got the DRS? I don't think he has, actually. No, I don't think he has. That's very interesting. So, oh no, he does have the DRS. My mistake. Yep, so there goes Verstappen getting closer, but Verstappen, it looks like, doesn't have the pace of Sergio Perez. That's very interesting. And it's Stroll. Stroll's going for it. Stroll's going down the inside on the Williams there. What a dive bomb by Lance Stroll to get past the Williams of Alexander Albon. But Albon's going to get the DRS here. And it's going to be interesting to see if Albon can come back at the Aston Martin there with Lance Stroll. With the Williams being so much faster in a straight line in general and having DRS. No, he's not. Stroll's got that one covered. A beautiful move there by Lance Stroll to dive down the inside. Once again, the Aston Martin absolutely incredible on the brakes. And so with that, for some reason F1 is showing us the main Grand Prix points there and not the sprint points. But yeah, there we go. We got also a replay there of Kevin Magnussen going down the inside on the Haas of his teammate there, Nico Hülkenberg. A good move there by Kevin Magnussen to dive down the inside and get through past his teammate. And this is interesting here then. So Charles Leclerc is now once again closing the gap to the Red Bull of Sergio Perez. And not only is he closing the gap, he's pulling away a little bit from the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. Now, it depends where the DRS detection point is. Because if it's a bit further back, then we might just see... Is he? Yeah, Leclerc's got the DRS. Leclerc is coming back with 5 laps left to go. Leclerc is coming back at the Red Bull of Sergio Perez. What on earth is going on here? Is Red Bull struggling with their tyres? That's interesting. This is not over, guys. This is not over between Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez. This is not over at all. We could see right now Charles Leclerc get closer and closer to the to the Red Bull of Sergio Perez as Alpine's Ocon is told to box once again. So those soft tyres are really not lasting. That's very interesting. That is something I'm going to be talking about a little bit later on in my data analysis video. These soft tyres are not lasting at all here today in Baku. We saw that the softs of Norris had no grip after 10 laps. Ocon's just been told to box again to put on another set of the soft tyres. So the soft tyres don't have any grip at all after a certain number of laps here today. So I don't think anyone's going to use the softs tomorrow in Baku to answer someone's question from earlier who asked if we could see the softs later on today. But yeah, this race is not over right now between the Red Bulls and the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, as we get to see the Alfa Romeo of Zhou Guanyu going down the inside past Nico Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg is struggling right now. Hülkenberg is sinking like a stone here today so far in this sprint race. This lap, though, it looks like Perez has been able to just pull away a little bit from the Ferrari there of Charles Leclerc. That's... okay. Maybe Perez was just managing the pace that lap. Maybe he was just doing that, or maybe he was just backing off or something, and Leclerc was maybe going for a push lap, and that's why we saw what we saw. So maybe it was a bit of a false alarm to say, oh my god, we're going to see something great here, it's not over. Maybe it is actually over between those guys. Anyway, let's see here. We've right now got, who's that? That is Zhou Guanyu and an AlphaTauri. That must be Nick De Vries. De Vries, is he going to find a way past Valtteri Bottas? Down the inside, through goes Nick De Vries, past Bottas. Bottas was on those soft tyres as well. So that is another one saying to me that the soft tyres just don't have enough life in them for them to be able to use in the Grand Prix. And that is something, like I said, I'm going to be talking about later today in my data analysis video. So stick around for that, as that should get released either tonight or tomorrow morning. So here we go then. We're getting now round the circuit. We're on with Pierre Gasly and Zhou Guanyu. Pierre Gasly on the medium tyres. Zhou Guanyu also, yes, on the medium compounder tyres. So neither of those guys have really got to worry about the tyres. It's only really the soft runners who it looks like have to worry about tyre wear here today. The rest of the drivers on the mediums seem to be fine. So I have a feeling that's what we're going to see tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to see the drivers all use the mediums and then probably a set of hards and maybe, just maybe, a second set of hards depending on how the tyre wear goes and what tyres they've got. Sergio Perez, by the way, has just opened up a 2.2 second gap to Charles Leclerc. Sergio Perez here today is absolutely flying. He is a long way clear of not only Charles Leclerc, but also Max Verstappen. So that's very interesting to see that Charles Leclerc and Verstappen have got no answer for Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez is going all the way today, and Perez is going to absolutely dominate this sprint race. As right now we can see the Alpine of... Oh, no, we're going to get to see an overtake behind. That's Nick De Vries going down the inside there on... Who was that? Who De Vries just overtook? That was Nico Hülkenberg. So Hülkenberg once again loses another place. Haas have been terrible on their tyre wear. At least Nico Hülkenberg has, by the looks of things. And the soft tyres have all gone off. That's similar to what we saw in Bahrain, actually. Bahrain was the last race where we really saw the tyres struggle. And we saw the Haas drivers really struggling when tyre wear was becoming high and becoming an issue. And that does seem to be a factor here today. And it is definitely affecting the Haas of at least Nico Hülkenberg. So Hülkenberg sinking like a stone, and he's probably gutted right now. Apologies about that. I just had to take a quick moment because, well, I'm a bit ill. So, yeah, I just had to take a quick moment there. Yeah, so it does look like then that this sprint race is right now, yeah, pretty much over. It's been a very good sprint race, but it does look like that this is over. Sergio Perez is going to win this race, but can Verstappen in the closing stages find a way back past the Ferrari there of Charles Leclerc? Santo with the smiley faces. Oh, I appreciate the smiley face, dude. I hope you're doing well, man. How are you doing, Santo? It's been good. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. Minus being ill. Being ill's not fun, guys. Don't get ill. It's not worth it. It's literally never worth it. So for those just joining, we're on the penultimate lap of the sprint race. And Max Verstappen is closing down the gap to Charles Leclerc. Is Verstappen going to get Leclerc then on the final lap of this sprint race? Here we go now, coming into those final few corners. Is Verstappen going to get the DRS, or is he going to be a little bit too far back? It looks like Verstappen is a little bit too far back. He's not going to get the DRS then. So Charles Leclerc is going to be safe as we start the final lap of the sprint race. Sergio Perez has absolutely dominated the sprint race. Sergio Perez, 5 seconds clear of Charles Leclerc. Sergio Perez, unbelievable. 5 seconds clear of Charles Leclerc. Max Verstappen is now in the DRS zone, and he's going to get the DRS. Is he going to get a bit closer then? Is Verstappen going to be close enough to get Charles Leclerc at the line? That's going to be very interesting. What's the gap between them right now? Ah, it's so close. This is so close. Greetings from Indonesia. Oh my god, you're from Indonesia. That's awesome. That's crazy. I didn't really think I had people watching from Indonesia. Oh, that's awesome, man. I'm glad to see that you are doing well. Yeah, glad to hear, man. Good to hear. Anyway, back to this. And Leclerc is now 9/10 of a second. Just 9/10 behind, ahead of Max Verstappen. Verstappen might very well get the DRS. And if he does, we might just see Max Verstappen pip Charles Leclerc at the line. Please don't happen. I can't do with seeing that. What is going to happen here then? Surely they're both going to drain the battery as they try and get to the line. As Sergio Perez comes towards the line then. And Sergio Perez is going to win the sprint race. Sergio Perez comes across the line. Sergio Perez is the winner then of the sprint race here in Baku. Perez makes it sprint race victory. And Charles Leclerc is going to come home in second place. Verstappen is close, but not close enough. It's Perez who wins. Leclerc second, Verstappen third, George Russell in fourth, Sainz in fifth, Fernando Alonso sixth, Lewis Hamilton seventh, and Lance Stroll rounds out the points finish positions here in Baku in the sprint race. A good sprint race there, guys. I hope you guys all enjoyed that. We got a lot of interesting data to talk about then. So I'm going to be doing, after this, I am going to be creating my data analysis video from what we learned from this sprint race. And what we learned is that we learned a lot of interesting things. Tire wear is going to play a factor in tomorrow's race, I think. And that is going to make things very, very spicy. Because it is not going to be a straightforward race tomorrow. Yeah, you know what? I feel sorry for Albon as well. P9 today, just one place off of the points. He was so close to getting the points. And if he did get it, yeah, it would have been great to see him get a point there today. But unfortunately not to be. Yeah, Leclerc there basically saying there's not really much more he could have done. And there really wasn't today. There was no way he was going to be able to take the fight, sadly, to the Red Bull of Sergio Perez. The Red Bull was just too fast once again. But this is a very good performance by Ferrari. Second place and fifth place. That's some good points for Leclerc and Ferrari going into tomorrow's main Grand Prix. Podium very much on the cards then for Charles Leclerc tomorrow, but I don't think he's going to score many points tomorrow. Interesting there. So, Red Bull saying to Max Verstappen, yeah, well done with a slightly damaged car. So, Red Bull, Verstappen probably carrying a little bit of wounds, a couple of wounds. I imagine they're from the incident at the beginning of the race with George Russell. But yeah, a good race then. Not the best sprint race in the world, but it was at least somewhat interesting. And we got a lot for me to talk about in tomorrow's video, which is going to be very good. So, yep, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Love from India. India, that's awesome, man. Glad to see that that's really cool. So I got someone from India, someone from Indonesia. We got some viewers from all around the world. That is insane. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you all enjoyed the stream, and I hope you've all enjoyed the sprint race here today. Not the best sprint race in the world, but also not the worst. I think we've seen worse sprint races, to be honest. So, yeah, I'll take that. Second place for Charles Leclerc. A lot to build on for tomorrow's Grand Prix, with Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen starting alongside each other in tomorrow's race. It's going to be very interesting to see what they can do as the Grand Prix gets underway. Yay, he gets a gold medal. Oh, wow. Oh, I didn't actually realize that. That is huge damage to Max Verstappen's side pod. I did not realize the hole was that big. Yes, see you tomorrow on race day. It's going to be so much fun to stream for race day. But yeah, Verstappen and Russell there having a bit of a conversation. Verstappen had a huge hole in his side pod. That is major damage. Like, that is not a small amount of damage on the Red Bull there of Verstappen. So, that's interesting. That is very, very interesting. Huge damage there on the Red Bull of Verstappen. Interesting to wonder how much damage that, how much time that probably cost the Red Bull there of Max Verstappen against Charles Leclerc, because if that was a fully healthy car, he probably would have overtaken him. But with it not being a healthy car, he didn't manage to get past him, and we saw Leclerc was able to hold off Verstappen, who was, it turns out, in a wounded Red Bull car. So, actually, surprisingly, everyone made it to the finish line except for Yuki Tsunoda, which is, yeah, very interesting. That's a lot more cars that finished the race than I thought would actually finish. I thought we were probably going to get maybe, 18, 17 finishes, but no, we got 19, we got 8, sorry, we did get 18 finishes, but I thought we were going to get something like 16 or 15 finishes, and there was going to be chaos, but we didn't actually get too much chaos outside of the opening laps. Be interested to see what we see tomorrow, though. Yeah, Verstappen there very much putting George Russell on blast, it seems, for that damage to the side of the car. For those wondering, yes, Verstappen will be able to get that repaired before the Grand Prix, so it's not really a big issue for him. But yeah, that was very interesting to see the hole in the side pod. But yeah, guys, I am going to get going. I'm going to go make some food. And then after I've had some food, I am going to make a start on the data analysis video for the Azerbaijan sprint race to see what we could learn for tomorrow's Grand Prix. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. And if you did, as always, comment, leave a like, and subscribe for more F1 content. Thank you all so much for watching.